Howdy, howdy, y'all. It's another Maharaj video. Chapter 27. The Beginningless begins forever. Um, actually, but yeah, I know. Elephant in the room. I got a new headset with a mic, so hopefully that will make hearing me that much easier. So if you've been having any issues like hearing me whatsoever, um, especially on the tablet like I'm using right now, that should be resolved. Anyways, so with this chapter, it's kind of like seems like it is a part two or so. I think. I don't know if the previous conversation was also in here because the questioner right off the bat says they had talked the other day, and so I don't know if that mean like you know if it's one of the ones that's previously in the book or not. Especially because the topic they talk about the yoga versus boga, and like the past, let's say about couple chapters or so, um, have been referencing and talking about the yoga versus the boga quite frequently. So so yeah, so I don't know if it's one of those, but the chapter in itself is still pretty good. Obviously, it's very solid. It's okay. All these are. I mean, it's hard to. Yeah, I don't think there's really been a bad chapter. There's been some like maybe chapters that have some concepts that are still I still rattle around with my brain, but that's the whole point, right? This book is, like I said, definitely one of those. You could probably read it numerous times and still get something new out of it each time, for sure. I definitely feel like that's kind of one of those books, and this is only my first time through it, right? If it probably would make it easier if I just read it all at once, but at the same time, very long books, very difficult to do that. So, anyways, this, like I said, this is like about a lot about the yogi versus bogi. Um, Although they do mention, like for example, they do mention a bit about duality, non-duality. Um, it's just a lot of. He talks, of course, about the I am ultimately, because everything always goes back to the I am. Like that's like the whole point of the book, right? Like this whole point. So Maharaj is teaching, but let's see, where was the? There's a couple parts I really wanted to kind of like read out loud. Oh yeah, so at the beginning here. The questioner says the way of the boga seems to me the better one. The yogi is like a green mango, separated from the tree prematurely and kept to ripen in a straw basket, airless and overheated. It does get ripe, but the true flavor and fragrance are lost. The mango left on the tree grows to full size, color, and sweetness, a joy in every way. Yet somehow yoga gets all the praise and boga all the curses. As I see it, boga is the better of the two. And Maharaj, what makes you say so? Questioner. I watch the yogis and their numerous efforts. Even when they realize there is something bitter or astringent about it, they seem to spend much of their time in trances, and when they speak, they merely voice their scriptures at their best. Such ganas are like flowers, perfect, just little flowers, shedding their fragrance within a short radius. There are some others who are like forests, rich, varied, immense, full of surprises, a world in themselves. There must be a reason for this difference. Maharaj, well, you said it. According to you, one got stunted in his yoga while the others flourished in boga. Questioner, isn't that so? The yogi is afraid of life and seeks peace, while the bogi is adventurous, full of spirits, forward going. The yogi is bound by an ideal, while the bogi is ever ready to explore. Maharaj, it is a matter of wanting much or being satisfied with little. The yogi is ambitious, while the bogi is merely adventurous. Your bogey seems to be richer and more interesting, but it is not so in reality. The yogi is narrow as the sharp edge of the knife. He has to be, to cut deep and smoothly, to penetrate unerringly the many layers of the false. The bogi worships at the many altars. The yogi serves none but his true self. There is no purpose in imposing the yogi to the bogi. The way of outgoing prariti necessarily precedes the ways of returning nirvati. Yeah, like say these are I got some uh, Hindu Sanskrit terms in here. To sit in judgment the lot marks is ridiculous. Everything contributes to the ultimate perfection. Some say there are three aspects of reality: truth, wisdom, bliss. He who seeks truth becomes a yogi. He who seeks wisdom becomes a gnani. He who seeks happiness becomes the man of action. So, like I said, I very I like that kind of that exchange back and forth, especially. I think that was probably I found one of the interesting parts of the art, this whole discussion they were having. I was like the whole thing is pretty interesting too, but just I think especially I found it a couple of things like I like the metaphor. I thought the metaphor was pretty good in stating this person's concerns and whatnot, and I liked how Maharaj addresses this and is saying well, yeah, of course the in your mind the bogey is better, like they're true to their practice while the yogi is not being true to their practice in this scenario. And so yeah, so of course the one is going to be better than the other supposedly. But I also like how Maharaj calls the yogi ambitious. And I have to say I agree with that assessment. That I think I find this very true. There is like an ambition in what the yogi seems to be ultimately doing, especially trying to go beyond desire in of itself. It seems like to me like the yogi in some ways is trying to really transcend, being a person in a way, for sure. I mean, when you're looking deep within the I am, like find your true capital S self, you are by definition really trying you're like really seems you're transcending your own humanity, which that to me sounds yeah, that is pretty ambitious, right? Like there's an ambition in that in of itself. There's yeah, it's definitely there's a reason why I think most people don't go down the path of the yogi. Ultimately, they'll a lot of people seem to be kind of they'll practice like yoga poses and stuff of this nature, but they're not really diving deep into um, the like the deeper like spiritual part of it. So that's yeah. So like once again, don't get this confused like with like the Western, like yoga, like oh we're just like doing some poses and and all this stuff. Like no, it's not just that. I mean that is part of it. Like don't get me wrong, like definitely like those like the poses and the yoga and stuff. I'm not dissing it. Trust me, I'm not dissing it. It's good, but there's even more to it. There's even more power to it. Oh, I hope you don't. I don't know if you can hear the kitty. The kitty. His name's Fluff Nugget. Anyways, let's see. Ooh, here's another good one that I really another good quote that Maharaj says in here that I really like. Whatever is spoken is speech only. Whatever is thought only. The real meaning is unexplainable, though experienceable. And I like that. Um, Especially the real meaning is unexplainable, though experienceable. And I've kind of had like a suspicion of that too, for sure in my own life. That there are definitely those that it's just really to understand is experience. Um, Though even he even says in this part, even during this chapter at one point, trying to remember. Here it is. So the questioner says, unless a thing is knowable and enjoyable, it is no use to me. It must become a part of my experience first of all. Oh boy, and then Maharaj, I love how he responds to this. This is probably maybe my favorite part of this chapter, just the way he responds, because I can only imagine just the sort of like, just the pen, just the sass or whatever you want to say that he had when saying this. You are dragging down reality to the level of experience. How can reality depend on experience when it is the very ground adhar, adhar? Yes, yeah, some sort of I think. Please tell me how to say that below. Of experience. Reality is in the very fact of experience, not in its nature. Experience is, after all, a state of mind, while being is definitely not a state of mind. And the question is again, I am confused. Is being separate from is again, I am confused. Is being separate from knowing? Maharaj, the separation is an appearance. Just as the dream is not apart from the dreamer, so is knowing not apart from being. The dream is the dreamer. The knowledge is the knower. The distinction is merely verbal. So yeah, that's something that's. Oof. I mean, for me, that's one of those big ones. That's like it sounds both validating and mind bending to me at the same time. There's like a sort of validation about that. That's like that seems right. That feels right. There's something about that in my soul that resonates. So, something about hearing that it resonates with me. But at the same time, does it ever there's something about it that's very mind blowing at the same time. Uh, I don't know if you ever let me put down below if you have ever had such experiences. The experience of something being both mind blowing and validating at the same time. Um, but yeah, on that note, I will probably just end this video with nice little picture of Maharaj in a pensive mood. So there you go. And next time, yep, chapter 28. All suffering is born of desire. Ain't that the truth? So until next time, I'll see y'all. Peace.